Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the KT Adventures. In this series we're taking you right back to the start of your favourite Walt Disney World rides, giving you the history and how they became the rides that we all know and love today. We'll be covering rides between all 4 Disney World parks. Today we're going to be heading over to Magic Kingdom to talk about our favourite laughing place. We'll be going over the complete history of Splash Mountain. Before we get started with this video, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed watching this episode, make sure to hit that like button, and if you're feeling extra cheeky, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single thing, because we make plenty of theme park related videos here at the KD Adventures which you don't want to miss. Before we can talk about the Disney World version of Splash Mountain, we need to head over to the original Disney park, where the first version of the ride was built. Disneyland opened in Anaheim, California on July 17th, 1955. There's obviously a ton of history and facts surrounding the original Disney park. There's more than enough history to fit in a completely separate video, which I'm sure we'll make at some time in the future. Disneyland is made up of 9 themed areas. Critter Country is one of these areas and is home to the first ever Splash Mountain. Critter Country opened in the park in 1972. However, at this time it was called Bear Country until it was renamed Critter Country in 1988. Bear Country replaced Indian Village, an area where tribespeople would demonstrate their dances. Now, the reason that the area was originally called Bear Country is because the Country Bear Jamboree was the single attraction in that area at the time. However, in 1988 it was renamed Critter Country to bring in the new attraction Splash Mountain. The Country Bear Jamboree was replaced by the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 2001. Bear Country was often very empty. This was due to the area only having one attraction. Therefore, Imagineer Tony Baxter came up with the idea to bring a new attraction to the area to attract guests. The idea for a log flume came up. However, Imagineers were originally unenthusiastic about the idea, as they thought that it would be too basic for Disneyland. Eventually, Tony Baxter thought of theming the new ride around the classic film Song of the South. So let's talk a little bit about Song of the South. Song of the South is a live action film featuring animated characters which was released in 1946. The film is based on a collection of Uncle Remus stories, which include the characters Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear. The film is also a musical, featuring songs How Do You Do and Zippity Doo Dah, which won an Academy Award in 1947 for Best Original Song. James Baskett, who played Uncle Remus, also received an Academy Honorary Award for this role. Although the film is controversial, the characters seen in the film still appear in books, comics, and of course a certain ride that can be found in 3 Disney parks across the world. The characters from Song of the South had been in Disneyland since opening day, so guests were familiar with Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox, and Brer Bear. Therefore, Disney were happy to use the film to theme the new attraction. The construction began on the new ride at Disneyland in April 1987. At this time, the ride was the most expensive project so far, costing $75 million. And what's interesting about that is that Disneyland only cost $17 million to build back in 1955. Having said that, $17 million was equal to about $80 million in 1987. There was another ride in Disneyland called America Sings, and due to Splash Mountain going way over budget and also the lack of attendance at the attraction, Disney had to close America Sings to save money. Inside America Sings was 117 animatronics that no longer had any use. These animatronics were designed by Mark Davis, who was one of the original animators at Disney, who designed characters such as Cinderella, Cruella de Vil, Sleeping Beauty, and Tinkerbell. Disney still wanted to use these animatronics and therefore decided to give them a new home in the brand new attraction. The ride was originally going to be called the Zippity River Run, which would use scenes from Song of the South. However, it was then decided to name the ride Splash Mountain. The animatronics used in the America Sings attraction can be found throughout the ride. However, the animatronics for the main characters were designed specifically for Splash Mountain. Although the ride is called Splash Mountain, riders were getting soaked. The boats then had to be redesigned to fit fewer passengers and to be much lighter to reduce the splash. This caused the ride opening date to be delayed by months, and of course adding to the ever-growing cost of the ride. Once Splash Mountain was open, guests loved it, and in 1991 Disney decided to bring the ride to Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World and also Tokyo Disneyland. The soft openings began on July 17, 1992, 3 years to the date of the opening at Disneyland. Both of the new Splash Mountains officially opened to the guests in October, within one day of each other. The first opened in Tokyo on October 1st, and Magic Kingdom's opened on October 2nd. Splash Mountain was planned for Disneyland Paris too, however due to budget and the cold weather, these plans were sadly scrapped. Now this series is all about Walt Disney World rides, but the reason we've not spoken too much about Disney World Splash Mountain is because all three rides are practically the same. They all have a very similar layout and scenes. Due to Magic Kingdom not having a critter country, Imagineers needed to decide where the ride would be best suited. It's no surprise due to the theming and style of the ride that the area they chose was Frontierland, across the way from Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. To build Splash Mountain in Magic Kingdom, they needed to demolish the Frontierland train station, however this was then rebuilt, which is the station that you see today. If you've not had a chance to have a ride on Splash Mountain, or you just want to reminisce about the times you've been soaked on this musical, critter-filled 10-minute 41-second attraction, let's take you on a complete ride walkthrough. So you start off by boarding the ride and you sit in 4 rows of 2 side by side. Each log fits up to 8 riders. Originally the logs didn't have safety bars, but in 2011 these were added for safety reasons. As you leave the station you are greeted by an introductory narration from Brer Frog. You then ascend up 2 dual chain lift hills before floating through the southern inspired river section of the ride, passing Song of the South style scenery. You then pass the homes of the 3 main characters as you float through the river, with the very catchy song How Do You Do. You then take a drop down Slippin' Falls. This is just one of the smaller drops on the ride. You then enter the dark ride section inside the mountain, where you're greeted by animatronic animals singing How Do You Do, forever cementing the catchy song in your head forevermore. You then pass a few different scenes to tell the story of how Brer Rabbit left home, and also how Brer Fox and Brer Bear follow him too. If you thought How Do You Do was the only song to get stuck in your head on this ride, then think again, because in the next section of the ride you're welcomed by the song Everybody's Got a Laughing Place. But first you go down a dark tunnel before another small dip drop. This section of the ride is exactly what you'd imagine from somewhere called a laughing place. You've got singing turtles and laughing frogs, and lots of water fountains too. However, you then end up in a dark area where you discover that Brer Rabbit has been captured by Brer Fox and Brer Bear. As you ascend up the final lift, 2 vultures taunt the riders. As you ascend to the side of the lift, you can see Brer Fox menacing Brer Rabbit, who's begging not to be thrown into the briar patch, which lies at the bottom of the fall. As you reach the top of the 52-foot drop, you then plummet down the 45-degree angle, reaching 40 miles per hour. After the fall, you then return back into the mountain, where the critters at Doodah Landing greet you with the famous song Zippity Doodah to celebrate the return of Brer Rabbit. Meanwhile, Brer Fox and Brer Bear can be found fending off an alligator. Just before you exit the ride, Brer Rabbit can be seen singing with Mr. Bluebird about the lesson he learned. And as you exit the ride, you can also purchase your on-ride photo using your magic band. Splash Mountain is one of the more popular rides at Magic Kingdom, as it's one of the main rides that is enjoyed by all ages and a great way to cool down when that Florida sun is shining. You can see why the ride is so popular. During normal park hours, the ride tends to have wait times around 30 minutes, however it can easily reach around a 60-minute wait when the park is busy. Therefore, it's always strongly recommended getting yourself a fast pass for this ride. Although the start of the queue is outside, the majority of the queue is inside a mountain cave. The queue also includes bits of theming related to the ride and characters from Song of the South. The queue is designed so that you can't see how far away you are from getting on the ride, however this can make the wait seem even longer if it's already quite long. Along with this, there's also sloping floors and staircases. Overall, Splash Mountain is one of the best, longest and wettest rides in the whole of Walt Disney World. The ride turns 28 in 2020, but it's still looking better than ever, as Disney always give the attraction a full refurbishment every year. It's a fun ride for the whole family, it's full of catchy songs and theming, and of course it has a great story too. Is Splash Mountain one of your favourite rides at Walt Disney World? Let us know down in the comments below. So that's it for this episode of the Disney World history. There's plenty more rides to come, so stay tuned for all those. We recently covered the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror over in Hollywood Studios, so make sure to check that out, and I'll leave a link down in the description below to where you can find it. So next time you're in Magic Kingdom and you're in the mood for a splash, head down the river to the Laughing Place, where I'm sure you'll find that everything is satisfactual. Thank you all for watching, we'll see you in the next one.